So I'm not the great defender of Canada necessarily. I mean, you hosers can defend yourselves as far as I'm concerned. You've got decent fighters, so you can do it yourself. But as an American, let me just try and break down for other Americans this obsession that we keep seeing with the Orange administration of wanting to annex Canada and turn it into the 51st state. I'll come back to, by the way, the insensitivity of this whole 51st state thing. Like, as in Canada, everybody in Canada is just all one blob of people, that they all look alike, right? They're all the exact same. No different than the way Americans look at the rest of the world, right? I'm not trying to pick on Americans, but I say this as an American. Americans tend to do this. They say, well, there's Americans and then there's everybody else. And they all look alike, right? That's what Americans do. And yeah, so I'll come back to that in a second here. But the biggest reason, if you understand the currency, if you understand the US dollar, if you understand the problem that the US dollar has, then you understand that they need to increase GDP. And one of the best ways you do that is you just annex another country, along with its 40, 50, 60 million other people, however many people live in Canada, and then say, see, look, we're increasing GDP. Like, that's you didn't. It's a scam. All you did was just get some other country to abandon their currency, their sovereign currency, and use USD. It's the reason why you're likely never to see a Texit, by the way. Speaking of, now let's move into the insensitivity aspect of this whole 51st state. Canada is like, what, 10 different provinces or states, if you want to call them that. And the people in Alberta probably don't like being lumped in with the people from BC, right? Like they probably would take think about it. Let's say that you're a Texan, you're some boomer Texan or something like that, that spent your whole life, making fun of California, or Okies, making fun of Oklahoma. How do we know we're crossing to Oklahoma? Because the truck's about to fall apart because the roads. Yeah, no, I know that's right. And you spent your whole life doing that, and then they just say, some other country just says, well, you guys are all look alike. You're all basically the same, right? I mean, you and the Californians are all the same people, right? Yeah, I mean, likewise, vice versa. Californians don't own with Texans either. Many of them don't. They want the no taxes, and but other than that, they don't own with most Texans on their values, right? Well, okay, so Canada should be like 10 states, but if they do that, that means there's 20 senators, right? The people that live, for example, in the Yukon Territory, which there ain't many. It's beautiful up there. I've been there. It's beautiful. But there ain't that many people live up there. They would get 2 senators. I would, by the way, support that. I would support that idea. If you actually if you really wanted to do this, if you were just hell bent on annexing Canada and turning it into 10 new states, possibly more, actually, because I mean, at that point, that would be the time to kind of divide up the territory a little bit and say, you know what, hey, hold on, the northern Albertans are different than the southern Albertans, and so, I mean, I'm not saying that you guys should do this. I'm just pointing this out, right? It's like Washington State, for example. Eastern Washington and Western Washington, they're not the same state, objectively. They're not. The Cascades are a pretty good dividing line, and dude, they're not the same state. Upstate New York versus Manhattan. You got a whole bunch of upstate New Yorkers that absolutely hate Manhattan and try not to go there. They go out of their way to not ever have to go there. I mean, that's just how it is. California is another great example of that. California should be like 8 states. You got to figure, Eastern California is pretty much all rural farmland. These are people that they're not really down with the people twerking in LA. So, yeah, I mean, I would support the idea. If you want to go after Canada and make it 10 new states, let's say, for example, and you got 20 new senators, and then, of course, you have representatives you'd need. I know that they have this idea of like a cap. Well, you have to get rid of the cap. Get past 435. You have to get past that cap and say, well, okay, we need to add another, let's say, 25, 30 representatives or more, right? Because that's how it works. You want to have some kind of representation, or do you just see Canadians, Americans? I'm talking about the American government for the most part. Average Americans are a little more up to speed on this stuff. And it's certainly if you follow my channel, and it's certainly, definitely, if you've gotten this far in the video, you're definitely a little further along than probably most. But, right? If you're, how would you just want to see it as just one big blob? That's not right. No, that would be, so you'd have more representation, you'd have more diverse. I mean, and then imagine what it would take to get anything passed in the Senate. And actually, I would be okay with this idea. Weirdly enough, I'd be okay with that idea. But if you're just going to give Canada as a whole, and you're just going to call it this one big monolithic state, and give them 2 senators, which basically means nothing, that's token at best, and then a couple of representatives, for millions of people. Millions, by the way, and Canada's also been importing a whole bunch of people from other countries that they have the same problem the U.S. is having, where they've got a lot of people with dual citizenship to all over the world that may or may not have Canada's best interests in mind, just like they may or may not have the best interests of the U.S. in mind. You can call me a racist all you want. First of all, I don't even hear that fucking word anymore. I'm so tired of it. It's so overused. It's so overused now. So, no, it's got nothing to do with race. Dude, it's an economic issue. And if you followed any videos that I've done, and many of you have not, I can tell by the comments. I see the comments, the people who see 5 seconds of a 9-minute video and comment on it. Yeah, whatever. Out of the hundreds of videos that I've done before, prior to this one, that explain all this shit. You guys really annoy the fuck out of me with that. You really do. You really fucking annoy me. I understand new people, but it's dude, if you're new, that's fine. You can be new, but maybe go back about 10, 20 videos or so and just kind of bring yourself up to speed a little bit with some of the stuff that we're talking about here. And keep in mind that a lot of the conversation is ongoing and has been for the last 3 years. So you've got hundreds of videos to go through before you start making a bunch of, offhand bullshit comments like that. So, no, I mean, that would be the Canada thing. So, I mean, it's to try and prop up the dollar, to try and prop up GDP. That's all this shit is. It's more gimmick. It's more gimmick to try and keep, and consolidation. Keep in mind, remember, this is, let me go into kind of part 2 right now. A lot of these gimmicks are just because things get so big at a certain point, they've acquired too much. It's the Blob. You ever see the old Steve McQueen movie, The Blob? Go back, it's from the 50s, I think. And it might be the early 60s, but it's a movie called The Blob. And it just absorbs everything. Yeah, it's a metaphor. Now, a whole bunch of people are going to say, oh, it's a metaphor for capitalism. No, it's the metaphor for anything big, right? It's a metaphor for anything big. It isn't just capitalism. It isn't just communism. It's anything that becomes so big and monolithic that it's why cars look the same. It's why everything is looking gray and everything looks homogenized. It's because at a certain point, it can only do so much, right? It's the replicators from Stargate for you sci-fi weirdos. That's all it is. It's just it's sameness. It's the Borg for my Star Trek freaks. That's all it is. Individuality, things like that, that can't. Giant stuff like that absorbs it usually by force at a certain point. And of course, that's why we're supposed to have a Second Amendment in the U.S. I don't know how Canadians would handle that. What would Canadians do with that? Got a lot of pissed off Canadians up there. Now they could be armed. Speaking of, why is it that we have a Republican-controlled everything right now and all the Second Amendment rules haven't changed? Why are those laws still in place? Any of them, right? I thought they were the pro-2A people. Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of Americans have a lot of soul searching to fucking do. I think you have that to do. You're not going to. Statistically, most people are not going to do it. They're never going to look in the mirror. They'll never fucking take themselves seriously for even 10 seconds. No, it's got to be something it's got to be always outward centered instead of inward centered. Fuck off.